The first dump truck arrived at 6:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning in February, its backup beeper shattering the crystalline silence of the snow-covered landscape. I was standing at my kitchen window, coffee mug halfway to my lips, when I watched 20 tons of plowed snow cascade onto my front lawn like a frozen avalanche. What the hell? I muttered, setting down my mug so hard that coffee sloshed onto the counter. By the time I had thrown on my boots and coat, a second truck was already backing up to my property line. The driver, a middle-aged man with a cigarette dangling from his lips, seemed completely unbothered by my presence as I stormed toward him. "Hey, what do you think you're doing?" I shouted over the hydraulic whine of the rising truck bed. He barely glanced at me. "Got orders to dump here, buddy. Take it up with the HOA." "I'm not part of the HOA," I yelled. But another mountain of snow was already thundering down, burying the remnants of my carefully maintained flower beds beneath several feet of icy debris mixed with road salt, sand, and God knows what else. My property sat on the edge of the Willow Creek Estates development, emphasis on edge. When I bought this land 5 years ago, it was specifically because it fell just outside the HOA's jurisdiction. I'd watched the development go up, with its identical beige houses and its army of rules about mailbox colors and Christmas decoration schedules, and I'd thank my lucky stars every single day that I wasn't part of that nightmare. The HOA president, Carol Hendricks, had made her feelings about my non-conforming rustic aesthetic abundantly clear at every opportunity. My farmhouse-style home with its red door and wildflower gardens was apparently an eyesore that diminished their property values. Never mind that I'd been here first. I pulled out my phone and called the number on the truck's door. A bored-sounding dispatcher confirmed what I already knew. Willow Creek Estates HOA had hired them to clear the development streets after the massive blizzard we'd gotten over the weekend. When I asked why they were dumping on my private property, she said she'd pass along my concerns and hung up. The trucks kept coming. By noon, there was a wall of snow at least 12 feet high running the entire length of my property line. Over 200 feet of contaminated, compacted snow and ice that would take until June to melt. My driveway was partially blocked. My mailbox was completely buried, and the runoff, once temperatures rose, would flood straight into my basement. I called the HOA office. Voicemail. I called Carol Hendricks directly. Straight to voicemail. I sent emails. No response. By the time the sun set that evening, I was standing in my yard, staring at the great wall of snow and feeling my blood pressure rise with each passing moment. That's when I noticed something interesting. The truck drivers, in their haste to find a path of least resistance, hadn't just dumped on my property line. They created a massive barrier that completely sealed off the only entrance to Cedar Lane, the street where Carol Hendricks and 5 other HOA board members lived. Oh, the main development had 3 other access points, but Cedar Lane, the prestigious cul-de-sac, where the HOA's elite had built their McMansions, that street only connected to the main road through a single access point, and that access point was now behind approximately 4,000 tons of snow. A slow smile spread across my face. I made some calls of my own. The next morning, I was up before dawn. My buddy Jake ran a landscaping business with a fleet of equipment, and he owed me a favor from when I'd helped him with a legal issue the previous year. By 7 a.m., his crew was at my property with 2 excavators and a front loader. "You sure about this, man?" Jake asked, looking at the snow wall with something between admiration and concern. "Absolutely sure," I replied. "I'm just moving snow off my private property. Can't have this blocking my driveway and burying my mailbox. It's a safety hazard." He grinned. "Where do you want it?" "Well," I said thoughtfully, "I certainly can't put it back on the HOA streets. That would be littering on their private property. But you know what? That Empty lot across from Cedar Lane's entrance? That's county land. Public right-of-way. Perfectly legal to pile snow there. Oh, I see where this is going, Jake said, his grin widening. It took 6 hours of work. The excavator scooped up massive buckets of snow and ice, pivoted, and dumped them across the road, directly in front of the Cedar Lane entrance. We didn't block the main road. That would have been illegal. We just created a new wall on public property that happened to make accessing Cedar Lane impossible without a snowmobile or a helicopter. We were just finishing up when Carol's silver Lexus came roaring down the main road. She slammed on her brakes, skidding slightly on the packed snow, and jumped out her car like it was on fire. "What are you doing?" she shrieked, her face turning a remarkable shade of purple that clashed with her designer wool coat. "Clearing my property," I called back cheerfully. "Morning, Carol." "You can't. You're blocking the street." "I'm not blocking anything. That's county right-of-way. Public land. I'm allowed to pile snow there, just like your HOA was allowed to pile it on the county easement when you cleared your streets. Speaking of which, why did you dump it all on my private property?" "That was a designated snow disposal area," she sputtered. "Really? When did my land become your disposal area? Did you ask permission? Did you offer compensation? Or did you just assume that because I'm not part of your little kingdom, my property rights don't matter?" By now, other cars were pulling up. I recognized several HOA board members, all trapped on the wrong side of the snow wall from their houses. One of them, a guy named Brad who'd once threatened to sue me because my chickens were too loud, was actually standing on top of his Mercedes, trying to see over the snow pile. "This is illegal," Carol screamed. "I'm calling the police." "Please do," I said. "I'd love to report the illegal dumping that happened on my property yesterday. I have photos, video, and the truck company's records showing they were hired by your HOA." Her mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. "Here's the thing, Carol," I continued, my voice hardening. "You've spent 5 years treating me like dirt because I won't join your HOA. You've sent me nasty letters about my flower gardens, my chicken coop, my red front door. You've tried to intimidate me, exclude me from neighborhood events, and spread rumors that I'm bringing down your property values. But I've never actually done anything to you until you literally dumped tons of snow on my property without permission." "We'll get lawyers," Brad shouted from atop his Mercedes. "We'll sue you for everything." "Go ahead," I replied. "Sue me for moving snow off my property and onto public land. I'll countersue for the illegal dumping, property damage, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. I've got a lawyer, too, and he's been waiting for you to give me a reason to use him." The crowd was growing now. Residents from other parts of the development were pulling up, phones out, recording the scene. Some were laughing. I'd heard through the grapevine that not everyone in Willow Creek Estates was happy with the HOA's reign of terror.